Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now this week I'm just going to be doing a quick catch-up video, so there's going to be a Beatles vinyl update today. This is pretty much all albums, I've only got one single to show, and the albums that I have are mostly UK, but there are some American and Canadian ones in there and a few other foreign countries. So there's a fair variety of things that I have to show, and there are a couple of items in here which I'm really pleased to have gotten and I can't wait to share with you. So we'll begin with this single here. Now it is an original red label copy of Love Me Do, however it's not in very good condition because there are some areas of label damage and a name there, Jane R. However, the B-side label is in much nicer condition. Now I do already have one of these, however this came up on eBay for the grand price of about £2.50, something like that. Now for £2.50 I wasn't going to turn down an original copy of Love Me Do despite the horrible condition. Now when you look at the vinyl, it's in such bad condition I haven't even tried to play it because it's so scratched. But the worst part about it is that it is actually chipped on the side here, so there's a small part of the running groove missing. Now, while that wouldn't obviously affect the actual song, I still don't particularly want to play this. But it's, for what little I paid for it, I would say it was definitely worth buying it. And I suppose I could always frame it, maybe with a B-side or something. Alright, so we now move on to the albums. Now, I'll do the UK ones first. Now, I've got a copy of Beatles for sale here, and this is a one-box stereo pressing from 1969 until 1970. However, this copy possesses a spelling error, which I'll show you now. I've been looking for one of these for quite a while, so I was pleased to get one. And that error is located on side 1. If you just look down here on the credit, it says World Music, but world is spelled with 2 L's. Now obviously world only has 1 L, so that's an unusual little spelling error down there. And here's side 2, which is just normal. Now this next item is probably the rarest thing I've got to show in this video. Now basically, since I started collecting Beatles vinyl, I've been looking for one of these, and I've finally been able to get one just recently. Now this is a stereo copy of Rubber Soul. However, there is one very interesting difference about it, and that is it actually has the word stereo printed on the cover, which UK issues never had. So this has a silver stereo on there, and this is actually an export copy of Rubber Soul. And those export copies can either have a silver stereo on the front, like this one does, or a black stereo on the front. But they're both equally difficult to find. And in every other way, it's identical to a regular UK cover, printed and made by Gowden Lofthouse Limited at the bottom there. So that's a very nice thing to find, I think. And the record itself also has something a little interesting about it, and I'll show you that. Now here is the side 1 label, and it has a KJT tax code on the centre, which also marks that this is an export copy. And here is the album itself. The vinyl's in pretty good shape, few marks. But I do actually already have this label variation, but I didn't have a copy with the KJT tax code. And now I move on to the White Album. Now I've got a few copies of the White Album to show, so I'll just dive straight into it. Now this first copy, this is actually just the sleeve. It doesn't have any records in when I bought it. Now this is a numbered copy, and the number is 85,557. However, the reason it's written on a piece of paper inside the plastic sleeve is because the number is completely faded. As you can see, the ink's completely gone. You can still see the actual outline of it. I'll try and bring that up on the camera if I can. So you can work out what the number was, 85,557. But the actual ink has worn away over time, which is a shame. Now here is the next White Album that I have to show, and this is the White Album number 245,181, and this one does come with records, and it's a mono copy. And here is side 1 with an EMI recording, and side 2. And here's side 3, which doesn't have an EMI recording on the label, and it's the same for side 4. Unfortunately, this copy doesn't come with any of the inserts. And my next White Album, again, like the 85,001, the number is totally faded. Now, you'll probably struggle to read what this says, and I don't blame you because it's very difficult to see, but the number is in fact 425,945. And so the ink's worn away from that one, unfortunately. And this is a stereo copy, and it has both the black inner sleeves, which is nice, and also comes with Paul McCartney, George Harrison and Ringo Starr's photograph. Now, interestingly, I have a White Album which I got a couple of months back, which only has John Lennon's, and John Lennon's photograph is the one that's missing from this White Album, so perhaps it would be a good idea if I just made a full set of photos with those. Unfortunately, the vinyl isn't in great shape on this copy though. There's sides 1 and 2. And my final White Album for this video is another stereo copy. However, this one is, again, just the sleeve. There aren't any records inside here. And it's number 541,599. And that's basically all there is to say about this. Quite a nice condition cover though. Now, this next LP is another rarity. It's a copy of Hey Jude, or the Beatles again. Whichever name you choose to call it by. And this is one of the variations of the export version of this album, which has the CPCS 106 catalogue number and has a sleeve made by Gowden Lofthouse Limited over here. Now, a few updates ago I showed a copy of this which had 2 spelling errors on it. One of them was that Paperback Writer, track 3 here, was spelled as 3 words, so as you can see, paper and back have a space between them, just like this. And the other one was Revolution, was mistakenly spelled with an S on the end, so that it was Revolutions. Now this is the second variation, which does have the Paperback Writer error, but doesn't have the Revolutions error. So they fixed one of them, but then they didn't fix the other one for some reason until the third variation. So after looking for this one for quite a while, I was pleased to be able to find a copy just recently. And here is side 2. Now, this version of the Blue Album is a mid-80s pressing, and it has a barcode on the back there, so it was quite late. And another sign that this is a later pressing is that the colour of the inner sleeves is a lot lighter than it would be on the original pressings. It would be like a dark blue on the 73 press, but this is like a really light blue. So that's a notable difference. But also, if we look at the Apple label here, the perimeter text reaches all the way around the label rather than just having an upper part and a lower part. So it's got a full circle with the perimeter text. And I'll show you the other side. And it's exactly the same on sides 3 and 4. And this next album is an original copy of Anthology 2. Now this was the only anthology that I didn't have to complete the set of 3. So I was very pleased to be able to get a copy of Anthology 2. And at the top of the sleeve it has the sticker mentioning that the single Real Love is included on the album, which was of course previously unreleased. Here's the front and here's the back, which has all the tracks listed. And here's the inside. I'll try my best to show you. So you get a picture of the Beatles and the Sgt. Pepper's costumes there, and you get a nice pink part there, and it opens up just to show some more pictures of the Beatles on the inside. So it's a very nice set, and I'll just show you one of the records because they're all the same. And here it is, sides 1 and 2 here, just on the 90s Apple label, which was set out differently to the others, 1996. Now this next album is the Beatles Songbook Volume 2, The Hollywood Strings, arranged and conducted by Stu Phillips. Now this isn't the sort of album I would ever normally buy, however I went into the record shop where I got this and I found a Dave Clark 5 album which was really battered, and the gentleman who owned the shop was very nice and gave it to me free of charge, so I just thought I'd buy something as I was in there, and this was the only Beatles thing that I didn't have, so here it is. I didn't pay very much, it was only a few pounds. The Beatles Songbook Volume 2, stereo. It's just orchestral versions, but they are pretty nice. And it focuses mainly on A Hard Day's Night, with a few Beatles for Sale tracks and I Feel Fine. And the sleeve was made by Gowden Lofthouse, and this was released in June 1965. And it is on the British Capitol label. Here it is. It's even got the sold in the UK text over there. And here's side 2. Now I'm sure most of you will recognise this album. It is the Live at the Hollywood Bowl reissue, which came out a few weeks ago, and it's the companion album for the Ron Howard 8 Days a Week film. And here it is. This is the LP. Got the Beatles live. So it's basically just a better version of the original Live at the Hollywood Bowl album. And here's the tracks. Side 1, side 2, plus some bonus tracks. In case any of you are wondering why I haven't actually opened this, it's because I've got the album on CD as well, so I just thought I might as well just keep the album sealed for now. Alright, so that's the end of the UK albums, and we now move on to the American albums. So the first thing I have to show here is a copy of Introducing the Beatles in mono, and this is a version 1 copy, which of course has Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You. And the cover's in very nice condition on this album here. I got this at a record fair just a couple of weeks ago actually, and I was very pleased because it was a variation that I didn't have. And here's the label, VJ label. This is a nice early copy, and I believe it's a variation C. I'm just basing that off different websites I've looked at, but it's a nice early copy because it's got the VJ in like the oval here rather than the brackets. And here's the other side. And I've played the vinyl, it sounds very nice indeed. So I was very pleased to find this. And this next one is a copy of the Beatles' second album, and it's on the 1969 Green Target label. Cover's in quite nice condition. There's the back. Not too much wear. And here is the album itself. There we go. Nice Green Target label. And here is side 2. I really do like this label. I think it looks great. And this next album is a Purple Label copy of Yellow Submarine. Now what's interesting about this is that it's not sealed, but it does still have the original shrink wrap on the cover, which is really nice. And interestingly, it's got a price sticker here. Now, I would imagine this is supposed to say $5.99. However, it doesn't really seem to have a decimal point between the 5 and the 9, so it appears to say $599, but I'm sure that wouldn't have been the case. But anyway, there's the back. And that's also in very nice condition, of course. And I'll just get the album out. Here it is. Nice purple label. Sounds brilliant as well. That's side 2. And finally, for the American albums, I've got a copy of Abbey Road here. And this is on the orange capital label. And here that is. It's strange seeing Yellow Submarine and Abbey Road on Capital because I'm so used to seeing them on Apple. There we go. Her Majesty is listed on the label for this copy. Alright, so pretty much all of the remaining albums, bar one I think, are Canadian. So, the first one I've got is the Canadian release Beatlemania with the Beatles, which is literally just the With the Beatles album from the UK with a different album title. So, same tracks, manufactured by Capitol Records of Canada. And this is a mono copy. However, this is a later pressing from the 70s and it's on the orange Capitol label. And I'll show you that. Now, I'm not brilliant when it comes to telling the factories, but I believe this is an RCA pressing because of the groove. Apart from the name on the label, it's in very nice condition. On this side too. Now the next album I've got is actually a Canadian pressing of Meet the Beatles, and this is also on the orange Capitol label, funnily enough. So it'll be from around the same time, I would imagine. There's the back of the sleeve. And it says printed in Canada at the bottom there. And here is the label. Again, I'm not brilliant when it comes to identifying the factory, but I think this could either be a Columbia or CBS pressing, something like that. If fit to be tie-dyed, if you're watching, I know you have an excellent knowledge on the Canadian albums, so if what I'm saying has any inaccuracy in it, and then I would be very grateful if you could let me know, or anyone else out there for that matter. If you know, I would be very grateful if you could tell me. And here's side 2. And next up, I've got a green Target label pressing of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And it's got the Capitol logo down below there. So here's the Canadian green Target label. And I think this is only the second green Target label made in Canada that I have, because I don't see the Canadian ones anywhere near as often as I see the American ones. So they must be slightly rarer from Canada. But anyway, there's that. That's nice. Okay, so that was actually the last Canadian album, and I've got 2 albums left, and they're both foreign pressings. Now the first one I have is a French Paco Marconi pressing of Sgt. Pepper's, and it's from about 1974. I will stress that the cover is not in very good condition for this. As you can see, it's had a big tear on the left, which has been repaired by someone, and more damage up there. You can see the foreign catalogue number it's got. And here is the Apple label. Made in France by Panthea Marconi EMI. Nice dark apple label. And here is side 2. And finally, for this update, I've got an Asian pressing of the Blue album. And what's really bizarre about this is that one of the lyric inners for the Blue album is actually red. And you can see it's from the Blue album because it's got the right tracks on and everything. It's got Magical Mystery Tour and I'm the Walrus and Hello Goodbye, all of those. Yet for some reason this is red. Now I've got no idea if this was just some weird error, or I don't know, maybe this copy's just some weird bootleg or something. I'm not entirely sure about this one. But anyway, I'll show you the label here. I mean, I was also wondering if it was normal for things like the stereo to be in the blue here. Maybe it is, I'm not so sure. And then we'll look at side 2 there as well. And the lyric in it for sides 3 and 4 is a very, very dark blue. And here is the label. But what's interesting is that it seems to be set out slightly differently to the sides 1 and 2 label. Because all the songs and the stereo is a little further into the apple, whereas it was like poking into the blue area on the other label. And here's side 4. Something else that's a little suspicious is that if you look at the picture inside the gatefold, I'll try and capture this. There's just something weird about it. I don't know if it's just been copied badly or whatever, but it just looks really weird, as if it's like of a lower quality. So this may well just be a bootleg. Who knows? Alright, so that's it for this Beatles update. And just before I sign off, I just want to say I hope everyone is getting into the Christmas spirit. It's only about a week to go now. In fact, yep, exactly 1 week to go until Christmas Day. So I hope everyone's having fun preparing for Christmas. And I hope that you have a very good holiday season. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.